A very good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Success Happy Hour experience with the Drunken Grape. I am your show host, Rob, and we have a brilliant discussion today. We are talking about purpose-driven content. We're inundated and swamped with content almost on a secondly basis in today's massively digitalized world. We're so digitally integrated, whether you are on a smartphone, your watch, tablet, a computer. And of course, you can tune in to from anywhere around the corner of this globe into this program because of this technology. Make sure to smash likes, make sure to subscribe to the Drunken Grape YouTube channel. Make sure to punch into the Success Happy Hour Experience playlists, seasons 1 and 2. This is currently season 3. I want to welcome to the show a purpose-driven content expert and community builder. He has extensive experience in the entertainment industry. Goes back, I believe, some 3 decades from the cruise line industry into quality entertainment as a host, into a marketing and media expert on his own as a consultant. Carlo Lombard, my good friend, how the hell are you? Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate you having me, and it's great to reconnect, Rob. It's been a little while, but we've crossed each other's paths so many times over the years, and it's wonderful to just re-engage and talk about something that I think affects all of us, and something that I'm certainly very passionate about.
Yeah, so on that note, we're talking purpose-driven content. How can you create, or how to create purpose-driven content is the theme of the show today. And I know you are an expert because you have a true media background. You're a brilliant public speaker. You're a brilliant presenter. You know tons about videography. You've been around this element and this industry in all of its forms, like I said, for probably about 3 decades now, at least. What got you started in this direction? What did you see out there? What are the current problems with content creation?
Well, you know what? I don't think per se it's a problem per se. I just feel that it's so important to remember that, we have definitely moved from a world where we used to create content, where content was king. Let's create as much content as we possibly can. Let's just go, to a place where we are curators of content now, right? There is, there's just so much content out there, which means we have also become a little bit inundated. We've also become a little jaded. We've also become a little overwhelmed with all the content out there. And let's be honest, there's a lot of content. There is a lot of bad content, but there's also a lot of really good content, right? So I think for me as a marketer, so for me as a marketer over the years, it's just become very clear that it's not so much anymore about just creating content. You really have to think it through. You really have to think where you're trying to take it. You really have to know who you're trying to help. You really need to know a lot more strategy, because honestly, what sets me aside from anybody else for that matter with a fancy iPhone or some $60,000 camera that just has more money than I do per se, or whatever, or just has more resources for that matter. What makes us different, right, is finding the strategic angle and how to apply that content in the most effective manner that relates to the audience, relates to the client, relates to the overall, goal of all of this, like all these little things. So I think that's just how content for me, at least, has changed as a whole. I also really believe, and I'll keep on saying this as many times as I can, you hear this often, content is king, but I believe more than ever, you have to have a distribution strategy. So distribution is divine, right? And that has always been a strategy in everything that I do. So I do not care about creating just good content. We need to figure out who the heck is going to see it and where the heck it's going to go.
Of course, and it's brilliant. I love what you said at the beginning, because really you've nailed it down to funneling. You take your topic and you focus it into channeled points. You focus everything you're doing into a channeled point. I mean, this show is a highlight of success, but it also talks about drinks and a happy hour experience because of my sommelier and beer sommelier and mixology background. So it integrates that, right? And there's purpose to this. I see with what you're doing, you're showcasing people in a very purposeful and meaningful way. I caught a video of, I think it was in your email, there's an embedded video or short video of what you're doing. It was promoting some event coming up in Ottawa. I believe it was to do with women and showcasing women, if I'm not mistaken. It was very well done. And what I noted about it is that you funnel your information into key focused points and everything is just focused about it. So that is absolutely true. Talk about the distribution system because that is critical.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, right? Like there is so many channels these days to connect with your audience, to engage with your audience. And it's, for me, that it's just not enough. It's not enough to create a good content piece. It's just not. Like no one really cares anymore that you create beautiful content. It's helpful. It definitely showcases that you know how to use a camera, and it definitely showcases that you know how to put a message together. But that's pointless if it sits on someone's website. It's pointless if it sits there for only the immediate clients to see. It's pointless. It really is. The worst thing is, and this is the worst thing about being in the video space for so long, and it's crazy, you know, like I've been in the video space. I've been creating video content literally for over 23 years now, which is insane, which means I started when I was 4. Not really, but anyway, nonetheless, but the reality is that I just feel like we need to give the content a long tail strategy, right? Because I feel at the end of the day, that's what's missing always, is that people spend so much money on videographers and video content, and it just dies and it just goes to sleep and it just doesn't go anywhere else, right? Because there's not this long tail effect. So for me, that's a key aspect of what we do and how we do things, is to really define what that really looks like. And so that it really gives the content and the client and the message and the story a more long tail effect, right?
Well, I think that's brilliant because, you know, it's funny. I was watching Raiders of the Lost Ark yesterday, just chilling out in the morning. It was a morning off. I was just glad to have it. I was at my girlfriend's house. She was busy working away. She works for Ottawa U. And I put on Raiders of the Lost Ark on Prime TV. And, you know, that movie is as good as it was when it first came out. The movie's 43 years old now. So when you look at long-term content, compare that with some movie that just is sort of the flavor of the day, like Cocaine Bear or something modern and just kind of out there. That movie will lose its luster in a year. In fact, it already has lost its luster. Something of high quality and high note with purpose lasts indefinitely. And I love how that you have a long focus. And cheers to that and a happy hour. I have a Nickelbrook Pink Lemonade Sour IPA. This is oat, barley, and malt grains all put together with raspberry. I believe there's like lemon zest. There's a few other things, guava in here, hops and yeast. You can water, of course. You can smell the fruit in it. Very interesting way to go. It's got the bitter hops that you find out on the West Coast, Chinook, Cascade, and Centennial. It's got the IP blend with a sour. You know what? I probably should have had this cold. This is a brewery that's been around 30 years out of Hamilton, but it is an excellent beer. This cold on a hot sunny day with a bowl of fruit, some light salad, this would be a terrific beer. Have this with some white fish or have it on its own, just as a refreshing drink. You know, we like to celebrate drinks in this show too, Carlos. It is a happy hour and a happy hour experience. Comes with my sommelier and beer sommelier and mixology background. Ladies and gentlemen, I do host events. Reach out to me at rob@thedrunkengrape.com for more information. Getting back to content and content creation. I love your focus on the long term because I think it's ingenious. We're going to bring up your website here. I think it's worthy to share into the show. It gives us a lot to take a look at here. Here we are. So I'm going to share this up. This is Let's see if we can view this in. It's pretty cool. I recognize Susan Blaine there. I think I recognize that fella too. I don't know his name, but I've seen him around. So these are a lot of people around in Ottawa. You're doing a lot of things that drive our local community. You're also a community builder. How does that integrate into purpose-driven content and what you're doing with Enough Said Media, which is your newest, I believe it's your newest business venture that you've launched as of recent, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? It's new, but it's also not, right? And it's funny because you see the stats at the bottom there, right? It says 20 years, over 280 companies help, over 430 campaigns executed, over 3,000 videos created. These are all real. This is not like just made up for the heck of it. Like the average content that's been created over the years, the amount of companies that I've worked with, these are very, very true numbers. In fact, sure, maybe a 5 or 10 off here and there, but it's the goal really once again was to say, okay, we've been doing all this, and why have we been doing all this, right? Like what has been the purpose of this, right? And so I said to myself, enough's enough. I'm going to rebrand our company and focus on more doing and less talking. And as a marketer, obviously in the past, and a public speaker and all these other fun things, speaking is what I do frequently, but I wanted to make sure that we have content that delivers and pushes the needle forward, right? So you'll see our site is extremely basic, and it's that way for a reason, because I'm not concerned about trying to showcase someone or sell someone just through our site. What I'm trying to do is engage with people that want to engage with us through the stuff that we actually deliver and through the things we actually do. And so people, all the companies that we've worked with, not a single one, and listen, this is very rare that this happens, not a single one that we have helped over the last year and a half 2 years since we've relaunched, have we put our logo for a free content piece on the video. Like there's no mention of who we are when we give this stuff away to the people that we support, because it's not about the tacky quiche. And I'm sorry, that's how I feel. A lot of marketers will feel the other way around, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's just that I do not feel that that's where I get real engagement from people that really want to work with us. I get it by people seeing it, noticing it, and telling other people about it, and wanting to work with us, right? It's that simple. We don't need 1,000 clients. We just need the right clients that want to work with us and push the needle forward. That's it. And so that's the way we work, right? Enough of the old thinking, enough of the old doing, enough of the expected doing, enough of all this stuff. Enough, right? Let's do it different.
You know, and I like that, because really, if you try to chase a pile of clients, you're really trying to chase money and you're not focusing on what needs to be done. 100 clients would have you busy year round. You'd be a 7-digit to 8-digit firm with this. There's no doubt about it. I think that kind of focus is a great focus to have. You know, people even say, wow, 7 digits, that's not hard to achieve. Less than 1% of businesses, I believe it's a fraction of 1% of businesses ever get to 7 digits. But by what you're doing here and the focus, and by the power of what you're doing with video delivery and content, I really believe you can magnify to that level and be consistent and consistently deliver year in and year out at a very high quality, with very high quality output. And you're right. A lot of clients these days don't want your logo branded all over the place with theirs when presenting their information and presenting what they want to convey and the message they want to convey and deliver. To the audience watching this, this is very important. And I'm with Carlo. You don't have to slapstick your logo on everything. I mean, that is the old way of doing things. I think the problem with that now is because we're so inundated with content, we're almost desensitized with just how many logo items are plastered out there. It's funny, even when I go to buy shirts and clothing, one of the things I hate is having logos plastered all over it, because it's just too much of it now. Why don't you just focus on what they want and what we can deliver for them?
Yeah, I think it just, once again, I say this often, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like if we do good stuff, hopefully good things will happen, right? And it's that simple, right? And that's really the motto. We're working on a very simple basis on a very simple kind of mandate, so to speak. We're not trying to make it complicated. We really are not, right? And you'll, if you click a little bit on those, there's some campaigns that we've done. This is just one one of the campaigns that we've done where we've literally built this whole campaign event from the ground up, did everything with this as well. But the reality of all this stuff is it's just an opportunity to showcase this very important event that was happening. And we wanted to try and give it some long tail. And the wonderful thing is we've helped sell it out. We've helped engage with it again. We helped relaunch it all again. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. And that's why I said the proof is in the pudding. We went out, we did it, we succeeded, and hope we'll continue to do things like this.
Yeah, no, I saw a lot of your video work with the father-daughter ball. This is advertising now for 2024. I believe it's at the Infinity Center again, but it was so well done that it entices people to participate. And by doing this, you're going to sell their event out probably weeks or months in advance of the event actually happening this time, which allows them to turn around and pivot and plan more events like this, right? Without having to worry about gathering all the revenue and at least breaking even on it. They've vastly surpassed expectations, largely through your branding work.
Well, I think it's just the reality is that, once again, we wanted to work with a really good organization that helped push their mandate forward. And we knew that we had the resources to help make that work. And we've done that now for a few other so we work with event planners, we would work with event organizers, we work with community partners. That's the stuff that we do, right? But really, once again, just good people doing good things. That's really what we wanted to do. And this is just one example of some of the stuff that we've done. But that's what it's all about. And that's really what we engage in. And once again, we got engaged not because we didn't do it because we just expect something back. Someone said to us, "Oh, what have you gotten from being engaged with this?" I said, "I don't really care. That whatever comes from it comes from it, right? That's what we did. We didn't come and participate on this because we wanted something back. We got into it because we are aligned with what they're trying to create. We're aligned with the awareness that they want to try and create for prostate cancer as well. We're aligned with regards to the community aspect of it. We're aligned with all that stuff. So that's why we're involved. It's really that simple."
And I think that's a very powerful thing to be part of. And I think that's part of community building. Like you've nailed also in this some very important steps in selling. We are immersed in this digital global world, but nothing beats community building and word of mouth on the power of how you deliver and execute. And I think your focus there is spot on for growing and building a sustainable company over time. Because it's not easy, let's face it. Is entrepreneurship easy? No, because if it was, everybody else would be doing it. Yet very few actually jump in and engage in the pit of entrepreneurship for even a brief flicker of time. Very few last, even in a part-time capacity, of 5 or more years in this, because it's hard. You have to have certain focuses, or you have to be focused, right?
No, I think, I'm fortunate to have some, once again, trying to get the right people in your life, trying to focus on having the right conversations with individuals, trying to have some more discipline and have some more focus, and also be very honest with yourself, right? Which is sometimes the reality. Sometimes you go in a certain direction, and you think, okay, I think I got this figured out. And then, things don't, when you're 3 months later and you're like, I'm not kind of getting where I'm supposed to be getting, then you need to start asking yourself some hard questions going, maybe I'm not so good at this, or maybe I'm making some real consistent mistakes. And why am I making these mistakes? And be honest with yourself. And I think it's hard. I think that's the toughest part about entrepreneurship, is being more honest with yourself, right? And not just accepting average being average, right? And don't get me wrong, the wonderful thing about working for yourself these days is that you can earn a decent income working for yourself, no doubt, absolutely. But if you're someone that's trying to build a company with more people in it, with more reach, with more distribution, then it takes a real strategy, and it takes real time, and it takes real sacrifice, and it takes many nights lying awake, knowing that you pay other people more than you pay yourself, if you pay yourself at all. But the reality is that's what comes with it. And some people can handle that and some people cannot. And it's funny, and I'll just mention these couple things that I've learned over the last couple years. It's been really eye-opening for me on many levels, is that it's not always, entrepreneurship. Most entrepreneurs have one common trait that no one can take away from you, and that's usually resilience, right? Like, we are full of resilience. When someone challenges you, Rob, I bet you will not be able, you are not going to do 10 events this year before the end of this year. And you'll be like, I'll show you, buddy. I will do 10 events in 2 months. Right? So you can do that, right? You can do that. Like, that's something most entrepreneurs do not lack, right? But I think something that we often have to ask ourselves is, what is our consistency on what we do? How consistent are we on doing certain things, right? And that's sometimes where it's not about just the big wins, it's about consistent little wins all the time. If we can get to a point where it's consistent little wins, then I think we're on the right track, right? And then we will make those big wins will be organic and not surprising, because we knew we were working up to those wins all the time, right?
Yeah, and it goes back, on a parting thought, it goes back to relationship selling versus transactional selling. What you're doing, word of mouth, building a community, getting engaged, taking things on that you're aligned to is part of relationship selling. And the beauty of that is when you get in there, your business is also very hard to poach. It becomes almost impregnable from poachers. Whereas if you go the transactional way, where you're just chasing revenue all the time, you're just tracing how many clients can I just explode, but there's no real focus or purpose to it. The purpose of your there is just to gain tons of traction and tons of clients. Problem with that model is that somebody can come along with just a lower price model and knock you off, for instance. There's no relationship hedging you or in defense of having your business taken away. Because as entrepreneurs, you have to build business in a way that also makes it hard to poach and hard to take away from as well.
Yeah, I think it's just at the end of the day, once again, just being authentic to yourself, being authentic to the people that you work with, and being authentic with what both you're good at and what maybe your shortcomings are as well. And this lovely phrase I heard the other day, clarity is kind. And I love it, because it is not just clarity for yourself, it's clarity for your clients, it's clarity in what you're trying to offer as a service, right? Be clear. It's wonderful how, if everybody's on the same page, what a wonderful experience it can really be, right?
Yeah, and you should be able to sum it up in one sentence. If somebody asked you about what you're doing, it's to drive purpose-driven content. It's pretty clear. Somebody asks me, what's the goal of the Drunken Grape? It's to drive a high-level engagement. Because the difference between my events and somebody else's, as opposed to just having an open bar, ticket bar, canopies being passed, and a reception and maybe a keynote, is that integrating wine and beer tastings, hosted dinner parties, hosted wine tastings with past canopies and food, and breaking it all down, is from the onset of the event to the end of the event, and we play trivia and do games in between. It's constant engagement. People want that pace of activity, and it's a differentiator in a lot of cases. And it's key that you can sum it up in one point. And also, don't be afraid to step back sometimes and retool. For instance, I'm finishing off a difficult course that's going to help me expand my offerings. I mean, sometimes you got to step back a bit from business to regain business with a purpose as well. But the key is to always keep moving and always keep growing. If you have to get a job on the side to support it as well, do so. There's nothing wrong with that. Just keep your vision moving.
Yeah, no, I think it's as chipping at it each and every single day. And I firmly believe, once again, right, like I've really tried to change the mindset of, once again, being an entrepreneur and being to fight, trying to grow something or build something, that I'm not in competition with anyone. I'm in competition with myself. I love it when someone said to me about a year ago when we first launched, they were like, oh, like this company, you're doing this like this company. I was like, no, not like that company, because we don't do the same thing, not even remotely close. But sure, if that's what you want to relate, if you want to compare us with, sure. I'll give you, see what we do, and let's have that conversation again in a few months, and then you'll see that we're not remotely the same. But and that's okay, because I don't feel any competition, which means I don't feel any in some shape pressure, or in some shape or form annoyed if a client goes with another guy. Sure, whatever, go with someone else. I don't really care. What I care about is what we do, how we do it, when we do it, and that's always going to be different. It's always going to be different. It doesn't matter whether you and I did exactly the same thing. Our experience is always going to be different.
Absolutely, because the individual behind it's different. You know, I love what you did over at Taste for Hope. I know you did a lot of video work there. I'll be excited to see when all that comes out as well, to help Robin brand and move what he's done with raising money for the Shepherds of Good Hope. Carlo, you're always an engaging fellow. I know people can find you at enoughsaid.media. We're going to have this in the show notes. Carlo at enoughsaid.media. If you want to reach out for inquiries. Ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend, if you want to drive your content globally or locally, that you get a hold of Carlo. He is an expert in this space. I have seen much of his work firsthand in many capacities. You always deliver at an excellent level. You're always engaged. You're always passionate. You always have people out of your seat when you're around. I love it. Be the change you want to be. Once again, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks, Rob.
Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to you, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever you decide to do, have a terrific day. This is Rob and Carlo from The Drunken Grape.